welcome to the course of Palo Alto. So let's get started with the course now. The overview of Palo Alto Network Next Generation Firewall inspect all traffic, including application, threads, and contents. Nowadays, Next Generation Firewall, all of them do that one, and tie the traffic to the user regardless of location or device type, and that is also possible with most of the vendors nowadays. Now, the user application and content, the element that runs your business, become integral component of your enterprise security policy. So basically, it's just like Palo Alto saying is that not only the traffic which is going from your organization to the internet, it is tying to the user and everything. It's just like a doing the classification, giving you more visibility, who is accessing, what is he is accessing, from where he's accessing, including the location. Now, this allows you to align security with your business policies. That is a good idea because when you have a visibility, you are able to make good decisions as well as write rules that are easy to understand and maintain. That is also true because when you have a good visibility, know what you're doing, you can write a proper policies which should be in place. Now, the features of Palo Alto application-based policy enforcement app ID. So if you want to allow your traffic only based on the application ID, you can do that one. User identity, that is for the detecting the users. Threat prevention, URL filtering, traffic visibilities, these are pretty much normal in the firewalls in before, and in the next generation it has become like a graphical presentation where you can have a good visibility of these things. Global protect, this is the one which is responsible to detect the user irrespective where they are in the world and give you the visibility what they are accessing. Fail-safe operation, that is for the high availability, malware analysis and reporting. VMware series firewall, so Palo Alto provides the software for the virtualization. Also management and Panorama, that is for managing the multiple for Palo Altos. And Wildfire is just like a security intelligence where once the Palo Alto is connected to the internet, it will automatically download that security intelligence feed from the Palo Alto that will help you to block some DNS attacks, URL filtering, and all those things by default. Now, there is one more section in the Palo Alto firewall, that is ACC, Application Command Center. So what does it mean? The Application Command Center is the analytical tool that provide actionable intelligence about the activity within your network. So this is entirely a different section in the Palo Alto where you can have the visibility that will provide you different graphical charts, visibility of the traffic, networks, and all those things. So the graphical visibility, that is the best thing because the more you have the graphical representation with the classification of traffic, networks, objects, any risk of the traffic anomalies, then the better you are able to make the decision. The ACC uses the firewall logs to graphically depict the traffic trends on your network. So basically it is getting the details from the firewall logs in order to provide that graphical chart visibility and everything. So while starting the course, so while after the installation of the Palo Alto, we will definitely look into this application command center when some of the traffic is being generated. Next thing, the architecture of the firewall is there are two different components. So one is the SP3 single pass architecture, parallel processing. So Palo Alto Network next generation firewalls are based on unique single pass parallel processing SP3 architecture, which enables high throughput. That is a good thing. High throughput, low latency. That is the best combination. And security. So a high throughput, low latency and security, that is the top of the and what do we say, chart of every business. So when you have these three things on the top of the priority, then definitely you are the leader. So but anyhow, Palo Alto is the leader in the Gartner quadrants for the firewalls, even while incorporating unprecedented features and technologies. Now this is true because it provides so many scanning, different types of scanning, and still it is able to deliver you the high throughput in within the low latency network. Next, single pass software is designed to accomplish two key functions. So one will be to process the packets, another one would be to content scanning. So processing the packets is just like once the packet enters into the firewall, it will process that packet. But what happens is like different scanning tools will process the packet again and again in the traditional way. But in Palo Alto came up with a way that the packet once it enters the Palo Alto firewall, it will be processed only once, and after that it will just be forwarded to the different scannings components, but they will not process the packet. Instead, they will only do the core part which they are being assigned to do. Right. The second will be the content scanning. So instead of using separate engines, multiple signatures. So basically, when you are detecting any malware or the viruses signatures, you do have multiple databases where you will be scanning for. So Palo Alto might come up with a has come up with a way that it doesn't require to go with the different types of what do we say scanning of databases, check with different databases. Now it will just go to the Palo Alto and it will just check for the scannings of signatures, matches the signatures with the database which is available with the Palo Alto. So Palo Alto is responsible to provide all the signatures, maintain those signatures and everything. So these are the two different things which single pass software does. Next thing is the parallel processing. So if you come back to this diagram now, you see that there are two different components. One is the policy engine, another one is the hardware engine. So until now, this was the software engine where the policy will be analyzed and the action will be taken based on the rules and the policies. But the second thing is that once the packet enters, it does processed and how it will be forwarded. So that part is done by the networking part like user ID, content ID. That part is being done by the hardware side. So the Palo Alto has two different things going on parallelly. So one will be the software which will check for the policies. Another will be the hardware which will check for the control plane, data plane, networking, app ID, user ID, and the content ID. All right. So the other critical piece of Palo Alto network is SP3 architecture is hardware. So by separating these two components, what the Palo Alto has achieved is that faster throughput processing, low latency, because things are running now faster because software thing is looking for something else as well as the hardware thing is looking for something else. That means when the packet enters into the firewall, two different components are acting on that one. So software is acting like a for the policy. It is analyzing the policies, different things, and the hardware is doing the networking, data plane, what do we say, the scanning, content ID, everything it's doing that one. So every piece has their own dedicated hardware. So that's why they are not relied on one another, because once the, for example, the control plane is running at 100% and data plane is running at the 40%, but the thing is that no one is dependent on each other. So control plane might be very busy, so it is just 100%, but it is not affecting the data plane. So traditionally what's happening was like you have only one hardware for all the things, and the when the processing happens together, so what's happening is that the resources have been utilized. That means it will slow down or either it might crash and reboot the device. But in this case it will not happen, because if something has broken, that means that particular component will only be crashed and rebooted, but not the whole firewall. So that's a good thing to come up with, and you achieve those high throughput and low latency. Now, the Palo Alto engineers have designed that separation of the data plane and the control plane. Now, this separation means the heavy utilization one won't negatively impact the other one. The one which is heavily utilized will not impact the other components or the engines. Now, example will be the administrator could be running a very processing intensive report, and yet the ability to process packet would be completely unhindered. So administrator is running the resource intensive report query in there, and simultaneously the packets will be arriving, the traffic will be arriving, but still the Palo Alto firewall is capable to do two things parallelly. Now, parallel processing hardware, the second important element of parallel processing hardware is to use of discrete specialized processing groups that works in harmony to perform several critical functions. So as we see said in the seen in the diagram, that different components have been processing by the hardware. So what are those? Those will be the networking. Networking will be performed by the control plane, user ID, app ID, and the content ID that will be performed by the data plane because the scanning will be done. It will detect for the user, it will detect for the uh, particular system, MAC address, and everything from where it is been accessing and all those things. Now on the control plane, a dedicated management processor with dedicated disk and RAM. So that is the another good thing because on the control plane it has his own CPU resource risk that is a RAM and the disk. It has its own RAM, it has its own disk. So that is a good thing. So it doesn't rely on the different component to process that one. So it doesn't have to wait for that one and drives the configuration management, logging and reporting without touching the data processing hardware. So this is a good thing which has been achieved by the Palo Alto because the architecture is so good that they have entirely separated the control plane and the data plane as well as the management plane, due to which the fast processing is possible because they have the dedicated what do we say components for those particular tasks. Now coming to the virtualization one, so you just have to be careful with the virtualization because it is not an physical hardware. That means this type of capability is not possible in the virtualization because you in the virtualization you just only provide the uh, resources like 2 cores, 4 cores, maybe 16 cores and dedicated RAM. So it's just like a single piece of the PC or a server on which you are running the Palo Alto server. So that kind of what do we say throughput and everything, the that kind of output we might not get when compared to the hardware Palo Alto. So I hope this was informative for you and thank you.